Hi dear audience, welcome back to our Eastern Wisdom series. After exploring Taoist cultivation and hybrid wisdom, today we dive into a preachin' Taoist classic that's often overlooked but highly respected by Zhuangzi Liezi, written by Lai Yuko, a Taoist scholar earlier than Zhuangzi. This book uses vivid fables to interpret profound Taoist principles, and its core thought of unity of man and nature lays a foundation for later Taoist philosophy. We'll split it into 3 episodes, uncovering the deep logic behind familiar fables and their connection to Taoist practice. Why is Liezi a must-read for understanding Taoist philosophy? Unlike other Taoist classics that focus on theoretical elaboration, Liezi integrates philosophy into vivid fables such as The Man Who Worried About Heaven, a story of a man anxious that the sky would fall, and Yu Gong Moves Mountains, a tale of an old man determined to move 2 huge mountains blocking his home. More importantly, Zhuangzi respected Liezi deeply. He mentioned Liezi more than 10 times in his works and called him Master Liezi, a title of respect, while he only called Confucius by his given name. This shows Liezi's status in pre-Qin Taoism. Let's clarify the core thought of Liezi: being born without being born, changing without being changed. Liezi believed that there is an invisible force Tao that generates all things but is not generated by others, and drives all changes but remains unchanged itself. All visible things, including humans, are products of the interaction of yin and yang, following the law of gain here and loss there, life and death in cycle. This inherits Laozi's thought of Tao generates all things and goes deeper into the law of natural circulation. It's worth noting that Liezi is not a pseudograph as once suspected. Recent academic research confirms that although the original version was lost, the existing version, compiled by Zhang Zan in the Eastern Jin dynasty, basically retains Liezi's original ideas. Its philosophical depth lies in not only advocating following nature, but also providing a path to realize it, forgetting oneself and external things, i.e., the state of oneness of self and things. In this episode, we've established the status and core framework of Liezi. In the next 2 episodes, we'll analyze its classic fables to explore the practical methods of oneness of self and things and the enlightenment for modern life. Prepare to rethink familiar stories from a Taoist perspective. See you next episode. Hi everyone, welcome back to our interpretation of Liezi. Last episode, we learned about its important status in Taoism and core philosophical ideas. Today we'll combine its classic fables with practical methods, exploring how to achieve the state of oneness of self and things, a key practice in Liezi that goes beyond simple following nature. First, let's analyze the fable of Liezi learning Tao. Liezi and his friend Biao Gaozi studied under Lao Shangyi. For 3 years he dared not think about right and wrong, nor speak about gain and loss, and only then did his teacher glance at him. After 5 years he still maintained this state, and his teacher finally smiled at him. After 9 years he completely forgot right and wrong, gain and loss, even his teacher and friend, and felt his body merged with nature. I don't know if the wind carries me, or I carry the wind. This fable reveals the 3-stage practice path of oneness of self and things. The first stage, 3 years, is restraining desires and thoughts, avoiding inner judgment and external arguments, which is similar to the mind purification method in previous classics. The second stage, 5 years, is stabilizing the state, making non-judgment a habit. Not just a forced restraint, the third stage, 9 years, is natural integration, forgetting the boundary between self and nature, achieving true wu-wei, Another fable, The Man Who Worried About Heaven, which tells of a man obsessed with anxiety that the sky would collapse and the earth would crumble, is not just a story mocking unnecessary worry. Its deep Taoist meaning is that humans are part of nature. The sky is condensed qui-vital energy, and the earth is accumulated soil. Whether the sky or earth changes, it follows natural laws. Worrying about things beyond human control goes against the Tao, teaching us to distinguish between controllable and uncontrollable, a key practice to reduce modern anxiety. Unlike shallow interpretations, Liezi's fables are carriers of philosophy. The practice path it proposes is gradual and down-to-earth, not an abstract state. In the next episode, we'll explore how to apply this three-stage method to modern life and decode another classic fable, Yu Gong Moves Mountains, from a philosophical perspective. See you next episode. Hi dear audience. Today, we wrap up our interpretation of Liezi. In the past 2 episodes, we understood its core philosophy and the 3-stage practice path of oneness of self and things. Today, we'll dig deeper into its timeless value, exploring how this preaching Taoist wisdom solves modern dilemmas like anxiety, perfectionism, and distraction. First, the 3-stage practice eases digital distraction. Modern people are bombarded by information and notifications, making it hard to focus. The first stage of restraining thoughts teaches us to avoid overjudging information. The second stage of stabilizing the state helps us build focus habits. The third stage of natural integration lets us focus on the present without forced concentration, a more effective method than fragmented meditation. Unlike shallow interpretations, Liezi's fables are carriers of philosophy. The practice path it proposes is gradual and down-to-earth, not an abstract state. In the next episode, we'll explore how to apply this 3-stage method to modern life and decode another classic fable, Yu Gong Moves Mountains, from a philosophical perspective. See you next episode. Secondly, the wisdom of distinguishing controllable things solves excessive anxiety. The Man Who Worried About Heaven reminds us that most modern anxieties come from worrying about uncontrollable things, future uncertainties, others' evaluations, etc. Following Liezi's advice, we should focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't, which aligns with the following nature wisdom, but is more practical for modern life. Furthermore, Yu Gong Moves Mountains, the story of an old man who decides to move to massive mountains blocking his family's home, persisting even when mocked, is not just about praising perseverance. Its philosophical core lies in the balance of natural circulation. Moving the mountains would disrupt nature's balance. So the heavenly emperor sent gods to help Yu Gong. This teaches us that perseverance should be based on following natural laws, not blind stubbornness, a warning against modern perfectionism that forces things against the grain. The greatest value of Liezi is that it connects profound philosophy with daily life through fables. It doesn't advocate escaping from the world, but teaches us to live in harmony with nature and ourselves in a chaotic world. This enriches our Taoist wisdom system, complementing previous classics with a more gradual practice path. That's all for our interpretation of Liezi. Next, we'll explore another preaching Taoist classic that focuses on Tao's operation law with more theoretical depth. Do you want to dive deeper into Taoist philosophy or prioritize practical methods? Welcome to leave your comments below. See you in the next episode.